Presiding Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, we are fortunate this morning to have as our guest speaker Professor Helen Cahill. Helen is Director of Learning and Teaching, Professor in Student Wellbeing and Deputy Director of the Youth Research Centre in the Melbourne Graduate School of Education. She is a leading researcher into young people's learning and mental health. She is also a graduate of the University of Melbourne, several times over in fact, completing her Bachelor of Arts, then her Masters in Education, and finally her PhD. After 8 years working as a high school teacher and coordinator within the Victorian Department of Education, and 7 years as a full-time carer, she became a research fellow at the Youth Research Centre in 1994. She has published widely on student wellbeing, with over 100 publications serving the field of education, presented often at international and national conferences, and earned numerous important research grants, including a current ARC linkage grant investigating resilience education. Helen is an engaged scholar, working energetically to support teachers in developing the social and emotional skills of children and young people and promoting respectful relationships. It's a pleasure to invite Helen to address us this morning. Please welcome Professor Helen Cahill.
Presiding Chancellor, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to address such an esteemed gathering. You have been learning all your life, and here you are, gathered to mark a significant accomplishment in your progress through formal education. It is a time for congratulation and for reflection, for looking forward, for looking back, and for looking around you. If you look around you in the theatre of this space, the theatre of graduation, you can wonder for a moment, what did it take? What did it take for each person here to live through their life challenges, let alone their learning challenges, and to complete the degree that they are here to receive? What will they do when they leave? What will they make happen in their future? If you look back on your own life, you will trace the positive influences that have enabled your accomplishment. The parents, carers, friends, and family members that helped lay down the track for you. The teachers, both formal and informal, and the intellectual heritage gathered through centuries by other scholars and accumulated and shared with you here in the Academy. It is in looking back that we can see how privileged each of us have been to engage in tertiary studies in this world-class university. In many countries in the world, the majority of young people do not yet get to complete a secondary education, let alone have access to a university. In considering the contribution that a tertiary education can make to you, the University of Melbourne enshrines its aims for you in the graduate attributes. It aims to prepare students, graduates, who are academically outstanding, practically grounded, and socially responsible. Graduates who have a regard for human rights, social inclusion, ethics, and the environment. Graduates with the research and reasoning skills to be influential citizens with high leadership potential. Is this you? What will you do to make this come true? In planning towards 2025, this university names 3 grand challenges for itself, which I invite you to consider now as you move forward in your own lives. They are understanding our place and purpose in the world, fostering health and well-being, and supporting sustainability and resilience. As you think forward, Ask yourself, how might you play a part in addressing these grand challenges? As graduates of arts, education, business, economics and creative arts, what contributions might you make to ethical engagement about our place and purpose in the world? What contributions might you make to the second grand challenge, fostering health and well-being? In our world, poverty and mental health are amongst the greatest health challenges. Depression alone is estimated by the World Health Organization to become the second greatest cause of disability in the world by 2020. And it's estimated by the World Bank that 1 in 5 people in our world still live in extreme poverty on less than $2 a day, mostly in developing countries in Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. However, more than 30 million children in the world's richest countries, countries like Australia, still grow up in poverty. What of the third grand challenge? That of sustainability and environmental change. What role could you play in the social change needed to enable humans to become the caretakers of their planet? The World Health Organization identifies that climate change is the greatest health risk of the 21st century, and that it is also a grave risk for conflict. None of us will have big enough shoes to address these grand challenges alone. But look around you. Each of us has the power of we. Collectively, you represent the disciplines of the great communicators. What becomes possible when the great communicators work together for social good? The University of Melbourne argues that the opportunity to pursue knowledge for its own sake is one of humanity's loftiest endeavours, thus rendering it a special privilege. But with privilege comes obligation. What are these obligations? I invite you to think on that as part of your graduation experience. You graduate into a time of great opportunity, but also into changing and troubling times. Never before has the world so much needed people of keen mind and good heart, citizens who will ask ethical questions and bring their capacity for learning to the fore, citizens who will lean in together to craft new solutions to old and new problems and the way they confound each other in ever more challenging ways. As you think into your own response to the obligation of education, I encourage you, as does this university, to dream large. For if you dream large about your obligations, about how you can contribute to these three grand challenges of sustainability, well-being and purpose, you will find ways to contribute in your own sphere of influence. You will realise that the difference you make will not only be through the job you are paid to do, but also in the micro moments of everyday life. Many of you are about to leave the university. Some of you will be lucky enough to return one day. But as you leave today, I encourage you to take with you the motto of the University of Melbourne, Postera crescem laude. It can be translated thus: we shall grow in the esteem of future generations. I urge you all to use your learning here attained to help you to serve the rights and needs of those future generations. Thank you.